Welcome back to the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, where once again the drivers of GT Cup have been met with difficult conditions. The rain overnight did not let up, and so we have been met with a wet track and cool temperatures, as you can see, and still incredibly humid out there at 96%, so don't expect that water to be shifting anywhere anytime soon. But qualifying 2 is about to get underway for the season finale in GT Cup Europe, where we have a tantalizing championship battle in prospect after a third victory of the season for the number 11 Q1 track racing crew of Nicola Salins and Stinas Longin on drop scores. That now puts them at the head of the championship by 1 point to the long-time championship leaders at Mertel Motorsport, Luca Ludwig and Ivan Velasco, with Matteo Lovisi and Federico Aurafai in their GDL Porsche number 67, just a further 3 points back. It's a three-way fight, and once again, it is Porsche v Ferrari in GT Cup Europe. And we will have another 20-minute session, which is now underway to set the grid for this afternoon's encounter. Chris Stevens and George Morgan in the commentary box. And George, none of us expected to have such a close fight. We were almost expecting Mertel to kind of walk away with it, but it turned out to be a bit of a disaster day for them.
Well, yeah, but first and foremost, we've got to congratulate, obviously, the Belgian pairing of Nicola Salins and Stinas Longin for Q1 track racing, thrusting themselves straight into the fight here for this title. Not to mention, they were close enough as it was coming into the weekend, but off the back of going from lights to flag, it has left them with a huge opportunity here to potentially land a blow for the championship. And obviously some major question marks as to how still the cars are going to perform out on this circuit. I know that the Ferrari teams are fearing the track drying up. It seems as well on the other side of things that the Porsche seems to be performing quite well in wet conditions too. So at the moment, the way things are strung out, it's looking really good for Porsche lineups so far. But still, with Luca Ludwig now taking the helm in terms of qualifying, they're going to have a great chance here to land a pole position at Mertel Motorsport. And with Ivan Velasco doing the second stint, there's a great chance they can take this title, but Q1 are going to be very difficult to stop. Yeah, and their line is stern together on track, the Mertel and the Q1. So it is Nicola Salins in the Q1 track racing Porsche that won yesterday, and Luca Ludwig, the Nürburgring racer and former GT Masters champion, who is at the wheel of that car. What's going in Mertel's favour a little bit is they're unhandicapped going into the season finale, whereas of course their two championship rivals are 10 seconds for the number 11 Q1 car and 5 seconds for the GDL Porsche. So that does swing things a little bit back into their favour. But it's been a weekend fraught with difficulties for Mertel, because Luca Ludwig is on double duties this weekend, competing over at Imola in the Ferrari Mondiale. They have been helicoptering him between the two circuits for his sessions, and it is honestly, it's a remarkable thing that they've undertaken, and it's safe to say that Luca was a little bit late getting into the car. They left it to the absolute last moment for Velasco to come into the pit lane as the first flying laps are now underway. But they had, I think it was a fuel pump issue on that car. We saw a mechanic with the cover off the back of that Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo, and he was buried in the bowels of that engine bay trying to get things sorted, which actually worked out quite well because it allowed Luca Ludwig to then hop in the car while it was still in pit lane. Yeah, it was quite well timed actually. It was, I think if anything, it was like a minute threshold. They were saying down at the pit lane. Luca came flying in via helicopter, arrived, and then hopped into his race suits with helmets on, and then immediately jumped into the car. And we saw then the rear flap being put onto the bay where the engine is positioned in the back of the Ferrari Challenge, but they did a remarkable job of getting it ready. It's a slightly easier prospect for them today, obviously with the way the scheduling seems to be working.
Yeah, it's a 2.5 hour window I think they have, yeah. So it's a bit less pressure on them today.
More straightforward, I would say, at this point. Wipers still very much in full view out there, so the rain's still very much a factor as we watch Fabio Babini this time at the helm of this car. Of course, Scanicchio was taking the helm yesterday for qualifying, and never writes off Fabio Babini, that's for sure. He has been a superstar this season, as he always is where it comes to motor racing. Very well adept to Porsche competition, as we now get our way through the, make our way through the early stages of qualifying with 16 minutes or so to go. Ludovico Larini also making his way around the track. You can see the times now floating at the bottom of your screen, folks. as we get set to register some of the first flying laps. Babini purple in that first sector, as you'd expect, but coming across the line, let's see where he sits with a full time. 1:58.507. That sets the benchmark to get us underway. Evgeny Leonov going into second fastest with a 1:59.133, just over 6 tenths, very nearly 6.5 tenths behind Babini at this stage, and Ludovico Larini then further back, as we now see Luka Ludwig popping into second fastest. So that's the first shot fired from the Mertel team, with them being within 5 tenths of a second of Babini's time at the very top. Purple middle sector though for Larini, despite coming across the line in fourth.
Yeah, so not exactly the blistering pace straight out of the box for Luka Ludwig. One might expect him to sort of rather romp away with this, but of course that would be discrediting the career of Fabio Babini, and also kind of forgetting about how well the Porsche handles in these conditions compared to the Ferrari, which I understand was rather chewing through its Michelin tyres during qualifying yesterday. So definitely one to keep an eye out on as well. Just got a glimpse there of the Racar Porsche, that bright day-glow yellow machine in the background. They have an opportunity to wrap up the AM Championship. That is still going down to the wire. So Laurent van der Velde and Nathan Brons were knocked out of contention yesterday. So Van der Velde, the outgoing AM champion. It is Nico van Dierendonck in the sister number 57 car that won yesterday and was third overall. That is just 7 points back from Dieter Streps and Leandro Martin, so that's another one to keep an eye out on there. In terms of the Teams Championship, that has been wrapped up in Q1 Track Racing's favour for the 4th consecutive year, as Fabio Babini is continuing to lower the benchmark out there. He's done 2 personal bests on this lap so far, but it is Nicolas Salins with the best time in the middle sector, and Nathan Brons in the 52 Q1 Track Racing Porsche, the AM car that's fastest in the first sector. But let's see where this time puts Babini. He goes purple in the final sector and finds another 9 tenths of a second, so a 58.093 now. And we're on board here with Nicolas Salins, the championship leader. Purple in the middle sector it was for the Belgian driver. He goes second and still half a second down on Babini, who's flying out there. And Nathan Brons was not too far behind him as well. He was only another 2 tenths back in the sister number 52 car, and provisionally fastest of the AM cars.
I'm sure the Steeners long in will be cheering on Nicolas Salins, I'm sure, from the pit wall, as he was yesterday. A bit of a moment there, though, for Luka Ludwig, making his way onto the off-track section. He was quite fortunate, actually. It's very greasy out there, but did a great job of keeping it together. He's into the pits, though, so maybe an opportunity to reassess and then head back out. We do still have 12 minutes and 55, and as we now watch a collective of cars, we've got a combination of some Mertel as well as a Porsche now making its way out round towards Curva Grande. Now a flash of the lights. There is Luka Ludwig, probably sat in the garage up on the jacks, as they now take a look at the tyres. Looks like they might be looking at that rear right there, Chris.
Yeah, I hope this is not yet more dramas for this number 80 crew. Of course, problems in the engine bay during yesterday's race. Velasco was complaining of a misfire on his way into the pit lane and his in-lap. We saw Dieter Streps just absolutely blasted past the Ferrari down the Seraglio on their in-lap, and that's not something you normally see, because the Ferrari traditionally has a straight-line speed advantage over the Porsche with its massive 670 horsepower engine. Fabio Babini still finding time out there, a personal best in the middle sector. Here comes the Tsunami Racing Team driver up towards the timing line, and is this going to be another improvement? Yes, it's a purple again in the middle sector and puts another 3 tenths of a second over the rest of the field, as Evgeny Leonov in the Volcano car goes up to second fastest, and is immediately usurped by Ludovico Larini in the race event car. It's changing faster than we can say it.
Yeah, credit to Larini, only 41 thousandths off Babini's top time. Nathan Brons hops into third fastest as well. Laurent van der Velde, of course, partnering him. What a tremendous day they had yesterday as well. Evgeny Leonov now relegated down to fourth, and now just over 8 tenths of a second behind our top-running Fabio Babini so far. We have Johannes Selger second in terms of the AM runners, as you can see on our timing screen, 6th fastest, just beyond a second. Still Ludwig in the pits as it stands. They're still having a look at that car as I look out of my commentary box window. But in terms of improvements, Fabio Babini has gone purple again in the first sector. He's found a 36.196. And now making his way in towards Sector 2. That is a very hefty improvement there from Babini. Once again, flexing that knowledge, that experience under Porsche machinery, and never have we ever not been satisfied with a Babini lap time. He has been absolutely sensational so far this campaign, and once again goes faster. Had a nice little bit of slipstream as well offered to him heading in towards Ascari, coming out of the Seraglio straight, so maintains and betters the time that he had already gained in the first sector. He's just managed to lump another 100th and plus on top of it, and could yet land a huge blow coming out of Sector 3 as he now makes his way down towards Curb Alboreto. Matteo Levisi hops up to 5th fastest. Rodino up to 18th. We're coming down into the final 10 minutes now, and Babini really looking to set the benchmark this time. Laurini got closer, 41 thousandths away on his previous run. Babini's going to try and put it away. No, into the pits. Intriguing. That time looked like it was well within reach of a special one indeed.
It certainly did, but this is a moment for the R01 racing car of Kamil Perian in the Romanian outfit. He and teammate Florentin Cescu, Romanian GT Endurance champions, but Kamil Perian just taking a little trip through the gravel trap. Not the first driver to have been caught out there so far this weekend, and I sincerely doubt he will be the last. I mean, even Nicholas Salins, while he was leading yesterday, had his own little moment at Lesmo 1. And yeah, frightened the life out of us and his Q1 track racing team, but did manage to hang on to the lead nonetheless. So this is on board with Matteo Levisi, who has just done a personal best in the first sector. It is 6th fastest, or 7th fastest now, I should say, as Glauco Solieri pops up a decent time. But Levisi in the car that is 3rd in the championship going into this season finale. 2-time race winner with Federico Alrafai so far this year. And it could be so much more if it weren't for the puncture they suffered in Barcelona, and really flirting with danger on the gravel trap on the right-hand side there. I wouldn't be surprised if a few stones were unturned there. He's got the Lamborghini Super Trofeo car of Luciano Privitello just in front of him. I wonder if that's going to block him slightly through the Curva Alboreto, changing of lines and trying to find his way through. Oh, surely the lap time is gone now for Matteo Levisi as Nicholas Salins bangs in a purple first sector, but we'll keep an eye on the Italian in the Porsche, and yep, lost a 1.5 seconds in the end. So Levisi, he's still got 8 minutes to try and improve on that time, but he needs to make sure he gets that one done if he wants to have a good starting position for a race that is going to decide the championship for him. Oh, and then has a little wiggle into the first chicane as well, and has to cut across.
A little bit of a nervous moment, but nonetheless he's okay, and we'll weave through the bollards no less. Let's take a look at this moment again, coming out of Ascari.
This was brilliant. Look at that.
Oh, right on the edge. I mean, I have to say, we speak about commitment. That is commitment. Nicholas Salins, though, once more finding the time. Remember, this is the car that took victory from pole yesterday in truly tremendous fashion, despite the scare that Salins had coming through the first and second Lesmo. It was a very nervous moment, I'm sure, for all involved. Of course, Tina's Longin, no less. We saw the reaction on the pit wall, but Salins is going to silence him. No, he's not.
Wow.
Lost a lot of time in that last sector, beyond half a second behind Babini's fastest time, so will remain where he is in P3.
Well, I think he had a little bit of a wiggle in the middle of the Alboreto corner, and then, of course, just lose all momentum down the straight at that point. So it's still 3rd fastest for the championship leader as it stands. And, of course, the 2 cars in front of him in the timing order are not in the championship battle, as he's following the Mertel Ferrari. So Luca Ludwig is back out on the racetrack, and that's a good thing, too, because he's currently down in 10th position, the former ADAC GT Masters champion. But Salins again wasting no time in the first sector. It's purple again for the Q1 track racing driver, and now this should be the section of the track where the Porsche excels as well, so maybe the performance is just going to keep coming and keep coming. It looks like they've got a slower moving car just in front of them, and it's Jim Michaelian. So Ludwig clears him, hopefully on the Seraglio straight here. Salins won't get too badly held up. Jim Michaelian, the Grand Prix of Long Beach CEO, who likes to have a few outings with us in the GT Cup, was teasing plenty of big plans for the 50th anniversary of the Grand Prix of Long Beach, which is next year. But for now, Nicholas Aylands continuing to find very good speed. It wasn't a personal best in the middle sector, but it's still a very good time indeed, and up on Fabio Babini's benchmark. But Babini has been the king of the final sector so far in this session, as he closes up on the back of the Ferrari as well. Babini's returning serve, by the way, in the first sector with a personal best there. But let's see where Nicholas Aylands, the GT2 European Series champion, alongside Steeners Longin, and multiple Bell Car Endurance champion, and it is still third fastest, but only 48 thousandths of a second away from provisional pole.
Yeah, Fabio Babini, though, is going to try and respond immediately and try and enhance the delta between he and the cars behind. He is still up on his time, despite losing ever so slightly a little bit against his current delta that reigns supreme up at the top. It's a 157.723. Did he register to go fastest before? And now looking to dig deep once more. Does have a little bit of traffic in front, but I don't think they'll disrupt this lap too much as they now head down towards Curva Alboreto. He is just over a tenth up now, coming out of that second sector, flashing the lights though this time. Oh, they will be a hindrance, I think, at this point as they head around the final corner. Fabio Babini currently just treading water against his Ferrari that stood in front, and the water being flicked off the back as well. Still a very damp surface out there as Babini now heads up towards the line. Wipers in full flow. Will improve, though, nonetheless, coming out of Sector 3. 2/10 improvement, a 157.536 for Fabio Babini.
And Luka Ludwig just done a personal best in the first sector. He's up to fourth fastest now, is the German in that car that has led the championship for most of this year. And it's a very good middle sector as well, and he's only a tenth of a second away from Fabio Babini, so this could put the Mertel Ferrari on the front row of the grid at the very least. Nicholas Aylands has just done a personal best in the middle sector as well. Remember, he was only 0.02 of a second away from the front row of the grid. Ludovico Laurini currently holding that second place spot. And so both these cars going gun-ho on this lap, both now heading into the Alboreto curve. Ludwig will be the first to cross the line. So he powers that Ferrari out of the final corner and heads up towards the timing line. These two cars that are contending for the championship this afternoon, and Luka Ludwig remains fourth, and it was a personal best, but he's still half a second away from the provisional pole time as Aylands puts himself up on the front row of the grid. So it was pole position for that car yesterday. Right now, it is the front row of the grid.
Yeah, and this currently sets the precedence that we've got two of our championship contenders currently locked in the top four of things. Matteo Lovisi, who is part of the three-car scrap fighting for the title, is currently down in eighth and in the pits. As it stands, Babini up on his time and 28 thousandths away off his, well, ahead of his current best. So he's gone green in all sectors. This is essentially purple. He was definitely purple in the first sector, but that provided the leverage coming into Sector 2. He wasn't purple in Sector 2, but still, he's up on his current time. Let's see if Babini can lock in yet another improvement out of the final sector to go even higher than Nicholas Aylands, as he does. No, not quite. 86 thousandths from his previous best, but still sits pretty with just over a tenth and a quarter seconds against Nicholas Aylands so far. So Babini still very much in the hunt for pole position. 2 minutes to go, and yes, we were alluding to Matteo Lovisi. The fact that they are in the pits, surely that is it for them. They will not be coming back out, and that will be a huge disadvantage ahead of the race later on this afternoon.
Yeah, so quite a bit of work to do for the GDL squad, and they're the ones who need to be taking points away from the two cars in front of them. So right now, it is looking better for Ludwig and Aylands. Don't forget that Lovisi car's got to take 5 seconds for handicap in the race as well. So that's sort of double disappointment there for them, really. But for Aylands and Longin, it's even more important because they've got to take 10 seconds as Nathan Braun's pops himself up to fourth overall, still fastest of the AM runners. And Nathan Braun's now coming to the end of his first year in GT competition, having moved over from the VW Fun Cup, continues to impress alongside Laurent van der Velde in that Q1 track racing Porsche number 52. car that was second in its class yesterday. But there is Matteo Levisi. And now they've got the rear left tyre off there, and they look like they were taking a look at it. So I wonder if that was not necessarily part of the plan, as we're now on to the final flying laps. And Nicholas Aylands, well, he's had to back out of it because he had the Mertel Ferrari right in front of him. Now Nathan Braun's going fastest in the first sector as well. Where is this Belgian driver finding all that space? The 28-year-old from Brussels, who's been absolutely stellar in his first year
Look
of
at
competition.
that middle sector from Laurini, and very nearly half a second improvement there coming out of the final sector. Babini just went fastest of all in sector 3 to improve his delta, 157.379. That places the gap between he and Salins nearly to 0.3 of a second. So Ludovico Laurini, who's fastest in the middle sector as it stands, or currently holding on to the top time, should he complete this lap now, heading out of Alboreto. Let's see if he can put the squeeze on Fabio Babini. Opens up that Porsche now, heading down the long straight. 5 seconds remain here in the session. Can Laurini take it? Yes! 156.815, and Babini out to beyond 0.5, Chris.
Nathan Braun's had a little bit of traffic there by the end of the lap, and it wasn't a personal improvement in the middle sector, but still goes second. Incredible stuff from Nathan Braun's in the Q1 Track Racing Porsche, fastest of the AM runners, and now second overall. But there are still a few runners yet to come across the line. Babini hasn't improved in the first sector on this lap, but it's still a decent one out there. Should be good enough as Nathan Braun has a little celebratory wiggle out of the Rettifilio chicane. That is a monster lap from Nathan Braun, the AM driver, remember. Babini still not finding the time he needs, though. This could put him on the front row of the grid at the very least. He's just coming through Ascari now, monstering the newly reprofiled curbs there on the inside. And he has got clear track in front of him, has Babini, so shouldn't be held up through the Alboreto curve. This car that has led the session through most of the 20 minutes that we've been running here, but now demoted to third. So he powers that Porsche, unleashes the flat six out of the Alboreto corner. Laurini still finding time in the middle sector because he got across the line before the checkered flag came out, but Babini cannot improve. It's only third for Babini, and Laurini is still finding time out there, but he doesn't really need to because almost everyone else has crossed the timing line now, and so I wouldn't be surprised if Laurini just pulls it into pit lane here. But Laurini, the 27-year-old from Fidenza, former Euro Formula Open racer, straight out of karting before heading over to America, but finding a home in Carrera Cup Italy with the Dynamic team. And he didn't improve in the end of 56.9, but that still would have been good enough for pole position. And so Ludovico Laurini is fastest in that number 26 car from Race Event. It's a guest entry for this weekend, and it will be pole position for them after they locked out the second row of the grid yesterday. They now have pole position.
Yeah, for the very first time this season. Chris, take us through the classification.
So it's Ludovico Laurini for Race Event fastest, and then Nathan Braun's on AM pole after a stellar lap in the Q1 Track Racing car. Fabio Babini for Tsunami in third. Nicholas Aylands, championship leader, starting alongside their nearest championship rivals, Luca Ludwig and Nicholas Aylands in fifth and fourth. Evgeny Leonov in sixth. Arturo Melga in the Sister Mertel car seventh. Glauco Solieri, second of the AM runners for SP in eighth. Then Matteo Levisi, the third championship contender, in ninth. Constantino Peroni making it two of the Race Event cars in the top 10. Johannes Zelga was on the AM podium yesterday. He will start 11th. And Nico van Dierendonk in the championship contending car in AM. Pascal Bachmann, Leandro Martins, the AM championship leader in 14th. Tommaso Lavati, Mauro Trentin, Camel Perian, Mark Speakervoss, Annie Frozio, Filippo Radino in the top 20, and then Luciano Privitello and Jim McCallion rounding out a 22-car field, where we will crown not only our overall champions, but our AM champions as well, as Ludovico Laurini brings the Race Event car back into the pit lane, just heading through Ascari there. But yeah, what a stunning lap from Nathan Braun's. And we have the championship contenders starting alongside each other in 4th and 5th. So join us for Lights Out in GT Cup Europe at 4:40 local time.